My younger brother got caught dating at school. And they called in a parent. Turns out his homeroom teacher was my high school ex-boyfriend. Does early dating run in your family? He asked coldly. Not at all. Must be the excellent guidance from teachers like you. I shot back without thinking. The entire office fell dead silent. If I'd known I was going to run into Jasper today, I would never have rushed to school smelling like hot pot. Wearing zero makeup. The most embarrassing thing isn't bumping into your ex. It's bumping into your ex when he looks even more handsome than before. While you're standing there completely barefaced. You're Rowan's guardian. Jasper's voice was ice cold. I'm his homeroom teacher, Jasper Sterling. We've been broken up for years. But seriously, he couldn't even recognize me. Jasper and I got together senior year of high school. He was the straight-A student. I was barely passing that year. He practically dragged my grades up single-handedly. And we ended up getting into universities in the same city. But our schools were on opposite ends of town. 3 subway transfers apart. 3 hours round trip. After he started college, he got busy with lab work and competitions. We saw each other less and less. I was young and reckless back then. One argument, and I said, let's break up. Like it was nothing. For the next few years, even though we lived in the same city, we never saw each other again. Never imagined we'd meet again like this. My brother was the one caught dating. So naturally I had to be humble in front of his teacher. I straightened up and spoke politely. Hello, Mr. Darling. I'm Rowan's sister, Ivy. Growing up, my wild personality had landed me in the principal's office plenty of times. But I'd never felt this awkward before. Which made me want to deal with my brother even more. If it wasn't for him, would I be in this mess? Parents were both out of town on business trips. Otherwise it wouldn't be me here getting humiliated. The other students' parents had come too. I apologized profusely to them. 1 against 2. Thankfully, they were pretty understanding. Jasper handed over both kids' report cards. It's senior year now. Only a few months until college entrance exams. This student's mindset is crucial. I've already talked to them. They promised to focus on studying and not let this affect their grades before the exams. I called you all here today, hoping the parents can cooperate and provide proper guidance. Took the report card, mumbling under my breath. No wonder that kid's been staying up late studying like crazy lately. Guess he really takes after me back in the day. Jasper paused, finally looking up at me. Does early dating run in your family? What? Why did that sound so insulting? Meeting his cold, dark eyes. My brain went blank. I blurted out. Not at all. Must be the excellent guidance from teachers like you. Dead silence. The air in the entire office seemed to freeze. The other parents and teachers stared at me like they'd seen a ghost. Then I finally realized what I'd said. Oh, my God. Mr. Sterling, I didn't mean it like that. Please don't misunderstand. Just then, the other parents got a phone call and left first. Now it was just me and Jasper. The atmosphere couldn't have been more awkward. So I prepared to leave, too. Jasper stood up to walk me out. Every step felt like torture. Outside the door, just when I thought I was finally free, Jasper suddenly spoke in a flat tone. I didn't teach him to chase anyone. First, he who had chased Jasper. Back in the day. In high school, Jasper was the guy countless girls secretly crushed on. I was different. I crushed on him openly. The whole world knew how much I liked him. The whole world also knew how impossible he was to win over. So when we finally got together, jaws dropped everywhere. He looked exactly like he did the first time. I confessed to him, completely unmoved. A nameless fire sparked in my chest. My brain short-circuited, and I blurted out. Mr. Sterling, let's be real. I was the one who chased you first. But I was also the one who ended things. The second those words left my mouth, I regretted them. He wasn't my boyfriend anymore. He was my brother's homeroom teacher. I'd just committed career self-destruction. Saying something so outrageous. Luckily, my useless brother finally appeared at the perfect moment to save me. Sis, the kid had been waiting outside the office this whole time. I quickly said, Mr. Sterling. You don't need to walk me out. I'll just have a word with Rowan. And then leave my friends waiting at the school gate. Without even daring to look at his face, I grabbed Rowan and dragged him around the corner. He looked at me strangely. Sis, why? Why are you so nervous? I jumped like someone stepped on my tail. Who's nervous? Rowan rolled his eyes. I've known you for 17 years. You think I can't tell? He glanced back. Our homeroom teacher isn't that scary. Is he? Rowan. You're the one who got caught dating. You should be the one feeling guilty and remorseful. Not arguing with me, Rowan. But, sis. You dated in high school, too. I never saw you feeling guilty about it. Thanks. That was a direct heart attack. My face went blank. Well. Karma's here now. Your homeroom teacher? He's my ex from high school. Rowan looked shocked, then absolutely horrified. I'm in trouble, sis. You had your fun. And now you're just throwing your brother under the bus. You weren't this scared when you got caught dating. Were you? Besides, how was I supposed to know Jasper would become my brother's teacher? Outside the school gate, I climbed into a car parked by the curb. My best friend, Willow, glanced at me. Yo. Did the teacher scold you? We both had the day off, so we went out for hot pot together. After eating, she drove me straight to the school. I collapsed into the passenger seat. Completely drained? No. But it was 10,000 times worse. His homeroom teacher is Jasper. Willow went, oh. And 3 seconds later, screamed. What? I covered my ears, but she yanked my hands away. Jasper? Jasper? The guy you dated in high school? I mumbled a weak yes. Willow covered her mouth. Oh, no. Oh, no. Rowan's in trouble. His sister ended things with his homeroom teacher. How's he supposed to survive now? Me? Does literally no one think I'm suffering, too? You're suffering. Willow shot me a look. You landed the impossible dream guy. Then you ended it with him. Who possibly have it better than you? Okay, fine. I hated hearing it, but with Jasper's face and that body. Yeah. He definitely deserved that kind of praise. It's been years. Let's not talk about it. Probably seeing how genuinely deflated I was. Willow held back her gossip urges and changed the subject. Oh, right. This Saturday, Ruby and Ethan are getting married. Are you going? They were both our high school classmates. More importantly, Ethan was good friends with Jasper. He'd probably invite him, too. Want me to tell them you're not coming? For some reason, Jasper's completely calm. Detached expression from earlier flashed through my mind. Some stubborn feeling crashed around in my chest. We're all adults now. What's the point of dwelling on the past? Besides, he's my brother's teacher now. I can't avoid him forever. Can I? I'm going. Saturday arrived. I changed into a dress, did my makeup, and headed to the wedding venue. The bride and groom stood at the entrance greeting guests. I handed over my red envelope. Smiling. Congratulations on your wedding. The bride glanced behind me. Her face lighting up. Ivy. Did you and Jasper come together? I turned around. Only then did I realize Jasper was just a few steps behind me. Walking this way today. He wore a white dress shirt and black slacks. Clean, simple. Tall and refined. Some people just effortlessly become the center of attention. Wherever they go. Jasper was that kind of person. He seemed to have heard, too. He looked up, dark eyes and dark hair radiating an untouchable, almost forbidden elegance. Our eyes met for 1 second. I immediately turned away. Awkwardly explaining, no. We didn't. The bride looked confused. Groom gently pulled her aside. Then smiled and greeted Jasper warmly. Jasper, welcome, man. I hurried inside. Soon I spotted Willow, who'd arrived early, waving at me. Ivy. Over here. I rushed over, thinking I'd finally escaped. But when I saw the table sign that read high school classmates table, my heart sank. I looked around again. Yep. All familiar faces. Then Jasper arrived. Only 2 seats remained at the table. One to my left, across from me. Class president over here. One of the guys he was close with stood up and called out. Everyone probably already knew what happened at the entrance. Anyone with eyes could tell we'd broken up. Footsteps approached. I stared at the white porcelain teacup in front of me, inexplicably growing more nervous. Then he walked past me from behind, bypassed the seat on my left, sat down across from me. The table went quiet for a moment. Fortunately, the guy who'd called Jasper over was good at keeping things lively. The conversation picked back up quickly. I heard you're teaching at First High now. That school's a top-tier provincial school. Super hard to get into. Well, the class president. Still the class president. Talented people succeed wherever they go. Haha. Hey. I really never thought Ethan and Ruby would be the first couple from our class to get married. I always thought it would be. The speaker realized his mistake and immediately shut up. Several pairs of eyes kept darting between me and Jasper. Back then, Jasper and I were together in this big, dramatic romance the whole school knew. No one ever imagined we'd end up like this. I instinctively glanced up at him. The man across from me had his eyes lowered, pouring tea. The line from his brow bone to his nose was flawlessly sculpted. Everything being discussed around him seemed completely irrelevant to him. I felt stifled. I excused myself to the restroom. Willow texted me. Be honest. A guy at this level. You ended things with him and you don't regret it? Why not try to win him back? Low voices drifted from outside the stall. I really can't believe Jasper and Ivy broke up. Remember how hard Ivy worked to chase him back then? So what? A guy like Jasper could have anyone he wanted. They were never right for each other anyway. Exactly. And honestly, I don't think Jasper even liked her that much. He probably just gave in because she kept chasing him. Then ended things later. Turns out adults really do love bringing up the past. Even though I was the one who ended things with Jasper, everything else they said was pretty much true. I typed out a message to Willow. Talking big. Get it straight. I ended it first. If anyone's chasing anyone, it'd be him chasing me. Willow ambitious. Admirable. Delusional. After those women finally finished gossiping, I slowly emerged from the stall. By the time I got back to the table, some people had been drinking and the conversation had gotten lively. I sat down, ready to focus on eating. Willow pinched me under the table. Why'd you block me? I side-eyed her. Don't you know why? Hey, Ivy. Someone called my name. I looked up. It was one of the 3 women from the restroom. Amber Chen. We'd had some unpleasantness in high school. If not for today's wedding, we'd never sit at the same table. She used to have a crush on Jasper. After finding out we were together, she tried to sabotage me several times, both openly and behind my back. She smiled and asked, "I hope you don't mind me asking. Are you single right now?" The table went quiet. She'd already asked the question. Yet she still pretended to be polite. "Wasn't that unnecessary?" She added, "I have a few single friends. I'd love to introduce you." I smiled. "Thanks. No need. My standards are pretty high." The table got even quieter. Her smile nearly cracked. But with Jasper sitting right there as living proof, she couldn't even argue back. After a few seconds, her eyes shifted. "That makes sense. For these past few years, you haven't dated anyone at all. Have you?" What was she implying? That I couldn't find anyone better than Jasper? Or, like she'd said before, that a guy at his level only dated me because he was blind? Not bad. I'd hated 2 or 3 people, I said. One was right after Jasper and I broke up. I impulsively said yes when a guy from my college asked me out. 3 days later, he tried to hold my hand and it grossed me out so much I broke it off. The other was after graduation, when my aunt dragged me to a blind date. This one didn't even last 3 days. At our second meal, he kept going on about how I should quit my job and be a stay-at-home mom after marriage. I blocked him on the spot from a certain angle. Saying I dated 2 or 3 people wasn't exactly lying. In that instant, everyone's reactions were priceless. I broke the silence, smiling. "People will need to try different things to know who's the right fit." Jasper looked up at those words, his gaze quietly resting on me. I was so done with this weird atmosphere. Time to go on the offensive. "Don't you think so, Mr. Sterling?" Amber looked like she was about to lose it. "Why are you calling him Mr. Sterling?" "Oh, forgot to mention. Mr. Sterling is my brother's homeroom teacher. Now, we just saw each other a few days ago. Listen to that. This is what a proper ex looks like. This is what making peace with your past looks like. This is what I wouldn't know." Jasper set down his teacup, his slender fingers like jade, his voice cold and detached. "I've only dated one person." The air froze completely. The hall seemed to shrink around those 5 words. "I've only dated one person." My fingers froze halfway to my water glass. The condensation had created a small puddle on the white tablecloth, spreading slowly like the silence that now engulfed our table. Everyone knew exactly who that one person was. Amber's carefully applied makeup couldn't hide the flush creeping up her neck. Willow kicked me under the table, hard, but I barely felt it. My entire nervous system had gone numb, every synapse firing blanks as I tried to process what Jasper had just said. He hadn't looked at me when he spoke. His attention remained fixed on the centerpiece, a lavish arrangement of white peonies and trailing greenery that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. The afternoon light filtering through the venue's floor-to-ceiling windows caught the planes of his face, throwing shadows beneath those impossibly long lashes that had once brushed against my cheek when we kissed. "Stop. Don't go there." Well, the guy who'd initially called Jasper over cleared his throat with the desperation of someone trying to defuse a bomb. "Who's ready for some food? I heard they're serving Wellington beef today." The collective exhale was audible. Conversations resumed in fits and starts, like an engine struggling to turn over. I reached for my water glass with what I hoped looked like casual indifference, only to misjudge the distance and nearly knock it over. Jasper's hand shot out, steadying it before a drop could spill. Our fingers touched for less than a second. His skin was exactly as I remembered, cool, smooth, steady. Everything I wasn't. "Careful," he said, so quietly only I could hear. I yanked my hand back as if burned. Thanks. He withdrew just as quickly, returning to that infuriating state of composed detachment that made me want to throw something. How could he sit there looking like a marble statue of perfect indifference when I felt like my insides were being put through a blender? The servers began bringing out the first course, some kind of foie gras situation with microgreens and edible flowers. I stared at it, my appetite having fled somewhere around the time Jasper dropped his verbal bomb. "You should eat," Willow whispered, leaning close. "You look like you're about to pass out." "I'm fine," I hissed back. "You're gripping that fork like you're planning to stab someone with it." I looked down. She was right. My knuckles had gone white. I forced myself to relax, taking a small bite of the foie gras. It tasted like expensive nothing. Across the table, Jasper ate with the same methodical precision he'd applied to everything in high school. Cut, lift, chew, swallow. Never rushed, never sloppy. I used to tease him about eating like he was performing surgery. He'd responded by stealing food off my plate when I wasn't looking, the only time his careful composure ever cracked. "So, Ivy," Amber's voice cut through my thoughts like nails on a chalkboard, "what do you do now?" "For work, I mean." I knew exactly what she was doing. After that disaster of an exchange earlier, she was probing for new ammunition. "I'm a content creator," I said evenly. "I write scripts for educational YouTube channels. Science, history, that sort of thing." "Oh." Her smile was saccharine. "So you're still writing?" The implication was clear. In high school, I'd been notorious for my terrible essays. Jasper had spent countless hours helping me structure arguments and cite sources properly. "Yes, still writing. Turns out I just needed to find the right subject matter." I met her gaze steadily. "And the right motivation." Willow made a sound that might have been a suppressed laugh. Jasper's fork paused halfway to his mouth before continuing its journey. If I didn't know better, I'd have sworn I saw the corner of his lips twitch. The rest of the meal passed in a blur of forced conversations and careful avoidance. I laughed at the right moments, nodded when appropriate, and counted down the minutes until I could escape. When the bride and groom made their entrance for the reception portion, I seized the opportunity. "I'm going to get some air," I murmured to Willow. She grabbed my wrist. "Don't do anything stupid." When have I ever done anything stupid? Her look spoke volumes. I slipped out through a side door that led to the venue's garden terrace. The late afternoon air was crisp, carrying the scent of autumn leaves and distant rain. I walked to the railing, gripping the cool metal as I tilted my face toward the sky. "Stupid, stupid, stupid," I muttered to myself. "Why did you come? What did you think was going to happen? Talking to yourself now?" I spun around so fast I nearly lost my balance. Jasper stood in the doorway, backlit by the warm glow from inside. He'd loosened his tie slightly, the first sign of disorder I'd seen in his appearance all day. "Did you follow me out here?" The words came out sharper than intended. "The terrace is open to all guests." He stepped forward, letting the door close behind him. "But I can leave if you prefer." "Yes," I wanted to say. "Leave. Go back inside and let me process this disaster in peace." "Stay," I heard myself say instead. "I don't own the terrace." He moved to the railing, maintaining a careful distance of about 3 feet. Close enough to converse, far enough to be safe. We stood in silence for a long moment, watching the ornamental koi swim lazy circles in the pond below. "Your brother's a good student," Jasper said finally. "Bright. Reminds me of someone." "If you're about to say he reminds you of you, I might have to push you off this terrace." That actually got a reaction, a soft exhale that might have been amusement. "I was going to say he reminds me of you. The you from senior year, anyway. Once you stopped pretending you didn't care about your grades." The memory surfaced unbidden. Me, sprawled across Jasper's bed with textbooks scattered everywhere, complaining that calculus was a capitalist conspiracy. Him, patient and methodical, explaining derivatives for the 4th time until something finally clicked. The way his face had lit up when I'd solved a problem on my own. The kiss I'd given him as a reward. That feels like a lifetime ago, I said quietly. It was. His voice carried no emotion, no indication of what he felt about that fact. We were different people then. Were we? Or did we just choose to become different people? He turned to look at me then, really look at me, for the first time since we'd reconnected. His eyes were still that same deep brown, almost black in the fading light. But there was something else there now, a guardedness that hadn't existed before. What are you asking, Ivy? Everything. Nothing. Whether he'd meant what he said inside about only dating one person. Whether that meant he still thought about me the way I sometimes thought about him at 2 a.m. when I couldn't sleep. Whether I'd made the biggest mistake of my life when I'd ended things over a stupid argument I could barely remember. I don't know, I admitted. I guess I'm just surprised. About what you said in there. Which part? All of it. But especially the part about only dating one person. He was quiet for so long I thought he might not answer. A gust of wind sent leaves skittering across the terrace, the sound abnormally loud in the silence. It's the truth, he said eventually. I don't see the point in lying about it. But, why? The question escaped before I could stop it. I mean, you're you. You could have. Could have what? Dated other people just to say I did? He shook his head. That's never been who I am. You know that. I did know that. Jasper had always been intentional about everything he did. He didn't do casual. Didn't do halfway. When he committed to something, a competition, a project, a relationship, he gave it everything. Which made what I'd done all the worse. I'm sorry, I said, the words tumbling out in a rush. For how I ended things. For what I said. I was young and stupid and scared, and I handled it terribly. Scared of what? Of us growing apart. Of you realizing you'd made a mistake choosing me. Of waking up one day and finding out you'd only been with me because I'd chased you so hard you didn't know how to say no. There. I'd said it. The fear that had haunted me throughout our entire relationship, the insecurity that had festered until I'd sabotaged everything rather than wait for the inevitable end. Jasper's expression did something complicated. You really believed that? Everyone else did. You heard them in there. Even now, people think we made no sense together. Since when do you care what other people think? His voice held an edge I recognized, frustration, maybe even anger. The Ivy I knew never gave a damn about anyone's opinion but her own. The Ivy you knew was a stupid 17-year-old who didn't understand that sometimes love isn't enough if you don't know how to hold on to it properly. The word hung between us, love. I hadn't meant to say it. Hadn't meant to reveal that much. But there it was, raw and honest and utterly mortifying. Jasper ran a hand through his hair, disrupting its perfect styling for the first time all evening. Do you want to know why I only dated one person, Ivy? My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. Why? Because no one else was you. He said it simply, matter-of-factly, like he was stating an observable truth rather than turning my entire world upside down. I tried. After we broke up, I tried to move on. Went on dates my friends set up. Let my mother introduce me to daughters of her friends. But none of them were you, and I'm not interested in settling for almost. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Could only stand there staring at him while my brain attempted to reboot. I struggled for words. That's the most romantic and stupidest thing I've ever heard. He almost smiled. Probably. But it's honest. So what now? The question came out barely above a whisper. What do we do with this information? I don't know. He turned back to the pond, gripping the railing. You ended things for a reason. Multiple reasons, probably. And I'm your brother's teacher now, which complicates matters. Complicates, but doesn't make it impossible. Doesn't it? He glanced at me sideways. You said it yourself, you were scared of us growing apart. College broke us before because of distance and busy schedules. What makes you think it would be different now? Because we're not stupid kids anymore. Because I've spent 6 years dating people who weren't you and I'm tired of pretending that's fine. Because I took a breath, steadying myself. Because I never stopped loving you, Jasper. Not really. I just got really good at lying to myself about it. The silence that followed was deafening. I'd laid everything bare, stripped myself of every defense and protection. Now I stood exposed, waiting for him to either catch me or let me fall. Your brother's going to kill me, Jasper said finally. It took a second for the words to register. When they did, I let out a laugh that was half sob. What? Rowan. He's going to kill me for dating his sister. Again. Jasper turned to face me fully, and there, finally, was the warmth I remembered. It started in his eyes, crinkling the corners, before spreading to the ghost of a smile on his lips. I'm going to have to give him straight A's for the rest of the year just to survive. Are you saying? I couldn't quite form the question. He reached out, slowly enough that I could pull away if I wanted to. His hand cupped my cheek, thumb brushing over my cheekbone with devastating gentleness. I'm saying I never stopped loving you either. And I'm tired of pretending I'm fine with how things ended. And if you're willing to try again, properly this time, then so am I. I leaned into his touch, feeling 6 years of loneliness and regret begin to crack and fall away. I'm willing. I'm so willing. Good. He drew me closer, until I could feel the warmth radiating from his body, smell the subtle cologne he wore. Because I have conditions. Of course you do. We communicate. Actually talk about our problems instead of letting them fester. No more running away when things get hard. Agreed. We take it slow. I'm not interested in rushing into anything just to make up for lost time. Okay. And you have to help me figure out how to tell Rowan without him thinking I'm abusing my position as his teacher. I laughed, the sound genuine this time. That one might be tricky. We'll manage. His other hand came up to frame my face, and suddenly we were close enough that I could count his eyelashes, see the faint freckle on his left iris. Anything else you want to add? Just one thing. I rose up on my tiptoes, closing the final distance between us. No more pretending we don't know each other. I hated that. Deal, he murmured against my lips. The kiss was soft, tentative, like we were both afraid the other might disappear if we pushed too hard. But then his hand slid into my hair and my arms wound around his neck, and suddenly it was like no time had passed at all. We fit together the same way we always had, perfectly, inevitably, like two pieces of a puzzle that had been separated and finally found their way home. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Jasper rested his forehead against mine. We should probably go back inside, he said, making no move to actually do so. Probably, I agreed, equally stationary. They're going to notice we're both missing. Let them notice. He laughed, the sound rumbling through his chest into mine. Still rebellious, I see. You love it. I do, he admitted quietly. I really do. We stood there for another few minutes, wrapped up in each other, before finally making our way back inside. The reception was in full swing, music playing, people dancing, the bride and groom making their rounds. Willow spotted us immediately. Her eyes went wide, tracking from my probably smudged lipstick to Jasper's mussed hair to our hands, which had somehow become intertwined between us. Oh my God, she mouthed, grinning like she'd won the lottery. Amber noticed too. Her expression could have curdled milk. I probably should have felt bad about that, but I'd stopped caring what Amber Chen thought of me somewhere around 11th grade. We made our way back to the table, and this time when Jasper sat down, he chose the seat to my left instead of across from me. His hand found mine under the table, fingers lacing together in a way that felt both thrilling and comfortingly familiar. You two sorted things out, Then, the guy who'd tried to diffuse the earlier tension asked, looking pleased with himself as if he'd somehow orchestrated this. You could say that, Jasper replied calmly. About time, someone else chimed in. The sexual tension was killing the whole table. I choked on my water. Jasper's ears turned slightly red, but his expression remained composed. The rest of the reception passed in a blur of happiness. We danced. Jasper was still terrible at it, stiff and overthinking every step, which I found endlessly endearing. We talked, really talked, about the last 6 years and everything we'd missed in each other's lives. We laughed at Willow's increasingly inappropriate jokes and avoided Amber's pointed glares. As the evening wound down and guests began trickling out, Ruby pulled me aside. I'm glad you came, she said, squeezing my hands. And I'm glad you and Jasper found your way back to each other. You two were always meant to be. You think so? I know so. Some people are just destined, you know? No matter how far apart they drift, they always end up circling back to each other. Later, standing in the parking lot with Jasper walking me to Willow's car, I thought about Ruby's words. Destiny felt like too big a concept, too much pressure. But choice, choosing each other, again and again, even when it was hard, that I could believe in. So, I said, stopping beside the car. When do I get to see you again? I have parent-teacher conferences this Tuesday. He tried to keep a straight face and failed. You could always attend as Rowan's guardian. Absolutely not. That's the worst idea you've ever had. Fair enough. How about dinner? Friday night? It's a date. I hesitated, then asked the question I'd been holding back. Are you worried? About what people will say when they find out we're together again? He thought about it for a moment before shaking his head. No. I wasted 6 years worrying about the wrong things. I'm not going to waste any more time worrying about what other people think of my choices. Not even Rowan? Especially not Rowan. Though we should probably tell him sooner rather than later. I'd prefer he hear it from us than through the school gossip mill. Tomorrow? I suggested. We could take him out for dinner. Break the news gently. Tomorrow, he agreed. Together. There was something profound in that word, together. It meant partnership, meant facing things as a unit rather than as individuals. It meant not running when things got complicated. Willow honked the horn, making us both jump. Stop being cute and get in the car, Ivy. Some of us have work tomorrow. I rolled my eyes but turned back to Jasper. I should go. You should, he agreed, but neither of us moved. Jasper? Thank you. For not giving up on us. Even when I had. He cupped my face one more time, pressing a soft kiss to my forehead. Someone wise once told me that people worth having are worth fighting for. I'm just glad you decided I was worth it too. I drove home with Willow in a daze, only half listening to her excited commentary and demands for details. My mind was already racing ahead, to telling Rowan, to our first official date, to figuring out how to navigate this new chapter. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I opened it to find a message from Jasper. Already looking forward to Friday. Sleep well, Ivy. I saved his contact immediately, adding a heart emoji next to his name before I could overthink it. You too. And Jasper? I meant what I said on the terrace. All of it. So did I. Good night. Willow glanced over. He texted you already? God, he's got it bad. Shut up, I said, but I was smiling. You're smiling like an idiot. I know. It's disgusting. I know. I'm really happy for you, she said, her voice softer now. Yeah, I said, staring at Jasper's name on my phone screen. Me too. 3 months later, the first time I walked through the doors of First High as Jasper's girlfriend rather than Rowan's guardian felt surreal. I'd been invited to speak to the senior class about content creation careers, Jasper's idea, though he'd sworn up and down that it had nothing to do with wanting to see me during school hours. Rowan had taken the news of our relationship better than expected. After the initial shock and horror, "Sis, this is disgusting, he's my teacher," he'd mellowed into resigned acceptance. "I guess it's better than you dating some random guy who doesn't understand how weird our family is." Now, as I stood in front of Jasper's homeroom class, I could see him in the back of the room, observing with his arms crossed and the faintest smile on his lips. "So basically," one student asked, "you're saying we should pursue what we're passionate about, even if we're not naturally good at it?" Exactly. I was terrible at writing in high school. Ask Mr. Sterling, he can confirm. I shot Jasper a look. Several students turned to look at him. "Ms. Chen was developing her skills," he said diplomatically. The class laughed. I grinned. What he means is, I was awful. But I loved storytelling, so I kept working at it. Found teachers who believed in me. I met Jasper's eyes. Found people who were willing to help me improve rather than write me off as a lost cause. After the presentation, students filed out for their next class. Rowan paused at the door. "That was actually pretty cool, sis," he admitted grudgingly. "High praise from you. Don't let it go to your head." He glanced at Jasper. "And Mr. Sterling? Thanks for not making this weird." "I don't know what you're talking about," Jasper replied with exaggerated innocence. When we were finally alone, I walked over to his desk. "So, how'd I do?" "You were perfect." He stood, moving around the desk to stand close to me. "Though I'm contractually obligated to remind you that personal relationships on school grounds during school hours are inappropriate?" I finished, grinning. "Highly," he confirmed, and kissed me anyway. Outside the window, autumn leaves spiraled past in shades of gold and crimson. Inside, everything was exactly as it should be, messy and complicated and absolutely perfect. Some love stories don't end when people say goodbye. Sometimes they're just on pause, waiting for both people to grow into versions of themselves that know how to hold on properly. Sometimes, if you're very lucky, you get a second chance. And sometimes, just sometimes, second chances are even better than the first.